the judge recognized. They said like, hey, but the Netherlands, they knew about these climate issues on Bonaire. They know that these things are going on and they chose not to act on it. So therefore you have been discriminating the people of Bonaire. And the judge explicitly said that. And for me, I think it's important to hear that. Because I think sometimes in these negotiations we as the islands have with the Netherlands, they're always like, oh no, but we'll try, or like, oh, we really care so much, and they don't do anything. And it was just so reassuring to hear the judge say, no, what you've been doing, it's wrong. You've been excluding part of your population and it's just wrong. So go fix yourself.
So what?
It's me, Haley Yoni.
And it's your girl, Jojo Renee. And you are tuned into episode 73 of Bite the Bullet podcast. And we got our first guest in the new studio.
Hey everyone, I'm Kjelld Kroon. Nice to be on the podcast. An honor.
This is the first time I think somebody also introduced themselves. Like we have a community hero, I would say,
doing
climate
for the people,
activist, somebody who's just lit, to be honest. From the time I met you, I didn't know you was doing all these things. But as I see you continue to just project after project, but also just to hear you speak about things, it's very admirable. So we're happy to have you.
Would you call yourself a philanthropist?
Philanthropist? Ooh. No, I think philanthropy is something different. I think that's also...
I was being very dramatic.
Okay. I get too serious intake. No. First of all, no, it's an honor to be here. I mean, also, having known both of you for such a while and also being a fan of the podcast and also having worked together at different times. So, this was coming. This was coming.
I think it's beautiful, the fact that you've known us for a while, but then we've like separated, and how we've come back into like contact has, in my opinion, been really beautiful, because it started with the panel. When you reached out to do the Baudi Watapana. Yeah,
correct.
When y'all hear about that, make sure you check it out. But that for me was like, Kjelld! And I remember taking a selfie and I sent it to Jay because that's how we met. But yeah, I think this is, full circle.
Yeah, it's just a full circle in it. And
so
it's a small world.
Whenever we speak about the panels we've been on, it was thanks to Kjelld. So it's only right that you finally come. This thing. It's only right that you finally come on the couch. How you been?
I've been doing all right. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world, and I luckily have some time to take a bit of a break and decompress and recover. So generally I'm doing all right.
You find it hard to take break?
Yeah, I had to learn the hard way. I had to learn that the hard way.
Your body told you no?
My body, I think I did a lot. I was doing too much. Also just, having like a full-time job and doing a lot of things next to it. Also in the weekends. And at some point, my body was just like, you're going to sleep now for a couple of days. And
I feel like seeing you in action, sometimes I can see your mind is on like... So I was like, you seem like one of those people that find it hard to put it on stop.
Definitely. And I'm in a process of learning that now and really trying to let go. That. Yeah.
Okay.
And how you been?
I'm okay.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot is going on.
Yeah.
And we're alive.
Okay.
What about you?
I hear it. I'm good. I saw 2 girls shoplift the other day.
Oh, no.
I don't know what it is with the trend. Remember we had an episode way back when I went to Manchester?
Oh, yeah.
And I saw this man shoplift. Guys, it was so funny because I was in Albertine. Who was I telling this? Anyways, I was in Albertine, but at Albertine by Rotterdam Central, they have a top and a bottom. But the top looks like a to-go, but it's an actual just normal priced Albertine, but it's more convenient. So they have like the daily sushi, they have the bakery, but they don't have all the stuff that the bottom one has when you do like big groceries.
You saying top bottom? I'm picturing front back.
It's
in front and then one inside.
Yeah. So how I would put it is like it's in the front here, and then you go downstairs, and there's the big one.
Jody.
Yeah. It's
That's not a stair. What you consider stairs?
Wait. You talking about Rotterdam Central?
Yes.
Inside or outside?
Stairs. They got more than 5 stairs. That's stairs. Even if they had 1 stair, that's a step.
Oh, you mean the one outside?
Yeah.
Oh, I think you mean inside the station.
Oh no, that's a to-go. This is like a supermarket.
Yes.
But so my sister went downstairs to go get her sourdough bread. I was upstairs to go look for sushi. And I see these 2 girls running upstairs because I had to wait for my sister now. But they like run, but it was like walking to act normal. And then the worker from upstairs came out because she heard on her walkie-talkie that they thief. And then she watched them and she was like, "Did you pay for all of that?" And then another Dutch worker come in And then she was standing there like making sure they don't go anywhere.
Oh,
yeah, it was. I was just there eating my canel brocha, like, what's happening, guys? And then the girls was like, yeah, we don't have a receipt, da-da-da. And it was like, okay, let me see your bank account. They didn't show it. So then, of course, they established that they thief. So it was like, the workers was like, okay, let's go downstairs so you can pay for it. As they walking downstairs with the two girls, one of the girls was like, and if we run? And then the worker chuckled, and then they ran. Guys, I was watching, and the funny thing is, they run, and my sister walking up the stairs, and she's like, "What's going on?" I was like, "Elisha, they thief it." Guys, I don't know why, but that was the highlight of my week. As bad as that sounds, but what killed me is the workers started running after them, and I was like, "Y'all running after them for two croissants and a canel brocha?"
I'm here thinking like Albert Heijn paying y'all well.
Thank you.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
well.
Like,
No, as in like why? Yeah,
Gotta be, because I feel like the first thing that they tell you when you work retail and maybe supermarkets is you don't have to get in there to
it
stop.
ain't gonna reduce your paycheck.
no, you're gonna get the same minimum wage.
But
so,
also,
you know?
Take it personally.
Even if they told me to, I'm sorry, guys, I'm not chasing two kids for croissants and a cast stangle.
No.
Don't make sense.
Like-
But you know, some people just take those things personally. That's
Yeah.
like me with like cheating.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like you taking me for idiot if you want to cheat while I here watching y'all take a test.
High
But it's
key.
not as serious because it really don't have any effect to
Nah, that Dutch girl took it serious.
You're against people cheating on a test?
I'm a
She's a teacher.
Oh, okay, of course. My bad. No, yes. No. I understand. No, it's very bad to cheat, people. Don't cheat on a test.
But question.
No, but the funny thing is I was a professional one
Yeah.
back in my day.
Uh-huh.
So I just see it all.
And that's what I was going to ask. What's the wildest way are you cheat?
Did I tell you this on camera?
I don't know.
That I used to, every week we had palabras for Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, mevrouw, if you see this. But I used to print all the words in size font 6
Yeah.
and take away the line space. So it would all come up onto like a little paper like this.
And you could have read that.
Every week I would print all the answers with me every Thursday.
I used to write it on my belly.
Ah.
But
So,
that's very, they don't see
Nah,
it.
because how our desk was, I could just be like this, and then my shirt could be like folded up, and I could see the little writings on my belly. And we had like a blue uniform, and I would just use blue ink because for me it's like it not going
I feel like your
to.
handwriting was
bleed through.
very, yeah.
Not really. We had airco in our classes. That was fine.
But not even that. I feel like once you put pen on your skin, it is kind of like
Smudge,
it smudges a bit.
But
yeah.
nah, I finessed it. As in my pants would be low, and then you would just have my shirt. And our uniforms was loose. They was just blouses, not blouses, but like kind of button ups. So it wasn't like the polos. Y'all used to wear polos, I think.
we had both.
Oh, well, yeah. And then it worked. One time I had my mother used to get those giveaway pens from, like companies giveaway pens. They had one with a calendar on it.
Exactly. I was just going to say.
I put a paper over the calendar and I wrote the answers on. That was the easiest one until the teachers found out.
Yeah, I
Then we
pulled that
couldn't do
one.
that.
I've pulled that one as well. Like specifically with the paper
Or
thing and the pen.
inside the label of a water bottle.
Writing.
All of that's too much.
Like for how big I am, I actually have very small handwriting.
Yeah.
I would write it on my eraser. I would write like formulas and things on my
Yeah.
eraser, and they would never come check my
Yeah.
eraser.
Those are things that are so dead giveaways. You know what it is do nowadays? Because I think it might be an attention thing. Because you're so focused on what they have on the desk and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They'll put a book right next to them. Like maybe they used to do that back then. But they would put a book right there, like by the bag on the floor. Like literally right in front of them.
The book.
Yeah.
Like for the subject that they do.
Open, right in front of them. Because sometimes teachers so focused on everything else, they're not looking down.
Oh.
And then it's like, so
Imagine you dangle the book on your feet.
sometimes you're not looking down because where your attention is. So I just look at them like, you going to close the book? And then the classes laugh like, oh, she see it.
That's
But it made me think of
crazy.
which colleagues probably don't.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But cheating is bad, guys.
Yeah, it's bad. Don't cheat
we
on
don't
tests. It's
condone
very bad.
cheating.
No.
Yeah.
I've only
Also,
done
stealing
that
at the supermarket
twice.
is bad.
Yes.
Don't do it.
Don't
Back to the
steal.
originals.
Yeah, don't steal. It was funny, but don't steal,
The
guys.
fact that she said, what if we run though?
That's
hilarious.
what took me out. You know why? Because I'm watching that happen and I didn't think they would really run. And I'm waiting for my sister. So I'm just now, and then I just see them shoot past me. And I look and I see my sister walking up and we were both kind of flabbergasted. But yeah.
Also, I don't know. Would police really go look for people that do those same crimes?
No, but they do have your face on camera now.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That have done crimes.
Not
Yep.
Have them, like, on the
teenagers.
list, blurred out.
Nah, because
I
teenagers
saw
be
it for
overdoing it.
hackers. I mean, scammers.
No, it was
But it-
scammers. I wasn't sure if it was,
scammers, though.
but they were young though. They were all very young.
The
At least how
scammers?
you saw, because again the faces were blurred, but you can see
Yeah.
how people dress and stuff. Like they
Yeah.
dressed like younger people that are doing some scamming or something.
But they need to do it for teenagers. The teenagers
Yeah.
need shame because in Stradivarius, the amount of teenagers that steal is insane. Like most, if not
Any of those. girls,
90% of the theft was from teenagers.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
I mean,
This
as a
also-
grown adult, what are you doing?
This also answers a question of mine of like why some of these teenagers are dressed so well or dressed so expensively, and of course they steal it. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
They said free.
yeah.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I don't know. My mother would have noticed,
Yeah.
like, where you get this from.
Mhm.
They'd
So
be
that
like,
makes me
yeah, my
wonder.
friend buy it for me. That's a cadeau.
But you know what? I think
It's our anniversary.
growing up in the Caribbean, when we get our money, we used to spend it on food.
Yeah, 100%.
They spend it
And
in the
candy.
spots. No,
Yeah.
they go to the
They
spots to
they
buy the clothes.
Yeah, meats, food, and drinks.
Yeah.
It was food for me.
For us, so after school, we had a bus that would go windward side. So that's one side of the island. That's like our town. And then the bottom, that's where I would live. So I would take that bus to go for the ride. Because in my head, it's like, yeah, who's going home? And there was a candy shop. And the bus would always stop us out at a candy shop. That was one of the highlights of my childhood. Because everybody would just go in there, get a bunch of candy. And then in the bus, we would compare to what like everybody got. And then like kind of
that's-
split it amongst each other. And this one, Ed, and Eddie was a big thing. So I would get jawbreakers.
Jawbreakers,
Oh.
yeah.
And I always wanted to find the big ones that would make my cheek like, but I never did.
Aw.
Because it's not a thing. Yeah.
They have some decent ones. They have some that are like
Yes.
yeah.
But
What,
that
jawbreaker?
will
Yeah,
break your
yeah,
jaw.
it'll break your jaw.
Like,
You can't put it in your
literally.
mouth. It's too
I
big.
agree.
Yeah, it's
And it'll break your sugar, as in I think you'll get diabetes after just eating one of those.
I didn't like it.
No, it tastes like food coloring, in my opinion. Especially the blue one. I don't know
it
if are
does.
you.
It does. Yeah, I get what you mean. It does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a little bit.
But you know, speaking from where we grew up, because we've spoken about St. Martin, but we never had the Bonairean experience.
Facts.
So tell us, how was it growing up for you, or what would you say Bonaire is about?
Yeah, for me specifically, so I was born here, but I grew up in Bonaire.
Yeah.
My parents are from Bonaire, of course. It was very calm. I feel like growing up Bonaire, when I was younger, you would always grow up kind of in the shadow of Aruba and Curacao.
Oh.
Like, I don't know how to
could get
explain
that.
it. Like, for example, very practical. Like, if I wanted to go shopping, we just talked about clothes. If I wanted to go shopping for clothes that are not like the cheap bazaar, the very cheap bazaar things,
Yeah.
I had to fly to Curacao.
Yeah.
Because we don't have, now there's a couple, like 2 stores maybe, but we wouldn't have any brands or anything like that. So, yeah, it's always kind of in the shadow of those two other islands. But on Bonaire itself, it's nice. It's very calm. Calmer than the other 2, I would say. I grew up in Rincon specifically, and I feel like that is maybe even a different experience than on Bonaire.
Why?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's maybe comparable to like what you were explaining with the bottom, but we have Kralendijk Playa, which is the capital, which is where pretty much everything is. The one high school that we have is there. Everything is there, the hospital. And then we have a town that is like, you got to drive through the hills and get pretty much on the other way, the north side of the island. And it's a small town. We're not that many people there, like 2,000 or something, 3,000.
Wait, but that's not like Sable.
I was gonna say,
Anyway.
You have one high school,
Yeah, we have one high school.
and we also have to travel to St. Martin to shop.
I was gonna
Oh,
say,
yeah. Whoa,
I was going to say the comparison with Bonaire is probably Sable and
Yeah.
100%.
yeah, actually, yeah. Now that
Because
you're
we
saying that,
also feel like the forgotten one, but from you two, as in Bonaire and St. Martin, like with Sabre, also the fact that we have to share the same line in a country
yeah,
choice, in my head is like, I find it rude that we don't get our own,
yeah.
whatchamacallit,
Yeah,
but it's,
yeah, now we're all bundled together as well. It's like the best
Bonaire,
islands.
City, Saba.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very comparable, actually. I didn't think
is.
about that. Yeah.
Why y'all think that is? Is it literally because of the size, or is it like a mentality thing?
So specifically
Of
the relation we have with the bigger islands.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a size thing.
I do think it's a size thing. Because with Bonaire, so I think it's a size thing, but I also think it's a system that's been created from so long ago that it has created that similarity. As in, when we call 911, we get Bonaire. Like everything in Sabre is connected to Bonaire. Everything.
I didn't know
If somebody gets locked up on the island, they get sent to Bonaire.
That I didn't know. That I didn't know. Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's
We
a
have the
case of
big
like,
prison.
with a hospital it's different. You either go Colombia or they send you to
No,
Martin.
but with us it's the same. You go to Colombia. So yeah.
But
makes
it's
sense. Yeah.
But
Or the Netherlands. Or the Netherlands.
yeah, but everything for us goes through Bonaire. Our customs goes through Bonaire. Sometimes they send police from Bonaire.
They close at 4:00.
Yeah.
Wow,
That is
your
the part.
customs go to Bonaire. That would make things super expensive, right?
What?
Doesn't it
Custom?
make everything
So
super
they
expensive
send
if it has to go from whatever you get it to Bonaire to then get to Seba? Isn't it
No,
gonna be?
it's not that it goes through Bonaire.
Oh.
Our customs officers are Bonairean. Like the system on Seba for customs brokerage
Yeah.
is from everything is really like you have the Netherlands, Bonaire, Seba.
Okay.
So we kind of
I think that's like before 10 how Curacao was our
for the other
central
islands.
government.
Yeah.
Whereas Bonaire is that for the remaining three.
literally
That makes sense.
And
Yeah,
I
that
guess
makes
that's
sense.
how it
Yeah.
is.
You like our big brother.
Oh, so we've taken the position of Curacao now. I don't know how I feel about
High
that.
We not the biggest fan.
Yeah, I can understand because that was the reason why a lot of tension happened in the Union, in the Dutch Antilles back in the day, right? Because of everything had to go to Curacao. And then,
Exactly.
you know, they call that divide and conquer, give one group the power over the others.
And the Sabins, they don't take well to
But I think all the islands.
yeah.
And I think that have to be a conversation one of these days for a panel in itself.
I'm down. Yeah,
How
we're
we
going to do that.
feel a bit of it. Not we have nothing against the people, but I think like the older generations, like my parents and their grandparents, just how they used to feel about. I hear sometimes how they speak about people from Curacao and stuff like that. But I think that's deeply rooted in like the system that was set back then. They have to do everything through Curacao. But I also think there's this. I don't know if y'all know this, but in Curacao, y'all have like on St. Martin, Curaçaoians have like this negative, how to put it? A very negative reputation of how they are perceived.
Also here,
I try to put it nicely.
Yeah.
like here, I don't know if y'all probably did because I came up later, but you have it where like once you're called an Antillian, it carries like a bad connotation.
But I feel like that's more linked to racism.
Yeah, that's more linked to
on St.
racism.
Martin or the Caribbean is more related to like a hierarchy type thing.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
Like
And
classism.
it's maybe a bit of classism as well, but then there's also this weird. I remember growing up on Bonaire, one issue we had as young boys growing up on the island is that if a guy came from Curacao, he got all the attention, and that was very annoying for us.
It was new
Also,
meat.
vice versa, of course. I mean, also if a woman would come from somewhere else, it's like, oh, somebody new on the island. Oh my God, they're cute, you know. And so that's one thing that I know we had like a bit of an issue is as boys on the island.
Yeah.
But also generally, one thing I remember is that we felt that people who would come from Curacao would be like, oh, but Bonaire is small and shitty anyway. And then our point is, why are you here then? Go away.
Burnt.
Don't come here and call
Shit
our
on
island
us.
shitty or act bossy towards us. If it's so bad here, go to Curacao, you know? And so I know that's one of the tensions I know we would have a lot when I was growing up in Bonaire. Where people from Curacao would be like, oh, I'm the cool guy. I'm better than all of you guys. I got style. Where it's like, yeah, okay, but you're here. So why are you here then?
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's representation. They have reputation, not representation.
Reputation, yeah.
That they have it in the Netherlands for Malig. Like, my English today.
It's
It's
okay.
okay.
What was formalig in English? The formal Netherlands Antilles. And it still lingers today.
100%.
Definitely.
So what made you... Well, maybe we was going to ask the same question.
Yeah.
Well.
What made you move to the Netherlands?
Yes!
It's very funny. I was actually working on an assignment today where I'm also talking about that. I wrote like an essay for one of the commissions here. And I don't think I had a choice if I really think about it. I mean, maybe that's wording it strongly. I didn't think about it like I had a choice. So I did VWO in Bonaire. And, you know, while in high school, everything is pointing you towards go on that KLM and fly to the Netherlands. Hop on that KLM and fly to the Netherlands when you're done. So yeah, in high school, when on Bonaire, I had like a very physics and maths and chemistry heavy pack.
Yeah.
So that when I came to the Netherlands, I came here with the intention of doing theoretical physics.
What's theoretical
I was like, you chose natuur and techniek?
Yeah, I had natuurtechniek.
Wow.
And also I didn't pick biology because I was like, oh no, it's not techniek genoeg. Give me more math.
That's the one people we used to say that was smart.
Yeah. But I learned in my first year of doing physics here, like I like the story behind physics. I like figuring out like, stars and planets.
Yeah.
I don't need to do calculations of 4 pages.
That part.
I don't. And it's kind of funny because my brother came up 2 years later and he's now finishing his PhD in theoretical physics.
Big up, bro.
PhD. So shout out him as well. Shout out Dylan when you see this.
That's great.
Yeah, so it's pretty funny. But yeah, and also seeing what he's doing now, I really see like this was not for me. I made the choice in that first year to go do other stuff for a while, work for a bit. But yeah, I learned pretty quickly like, okay, so theoretical physics isn't it for me? What would I like to do? And I think I'm someone I'm very curious by nature. I want to figure out how things work. And I'm one of those kids that my mom kind of wasn't buying me that much toys anymore because she knew I would break them apart to see how they work.
What kind of toys? Like with electrical?
Also, I've broken phones. I've broken like small phones.
For fun?
I know how phones work now. I can fix them now. It took me a while. I had to break a couple to learn how to fix them.
Flinging the phone.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
gosh.
I can, the basics. But my phones now also got way more complicated than back then. But back when you had like the Nokias, I can take out, but I can screw it out and
drop
switch
the phone
out.
and the battery fall out and it separate from the whole phone.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I always had that curious nature. And after stopping physics here, I went to work in IT for a little bit, just, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. And then I landed on philosophy. And that, it's something that kind of clicked automatically with me when I heard about it. It was something where I was like, oh, but in high school, I never officially got philosophy, but I know I did a lot of reading that was philosophical or even some of the physics things, it borders philosophy.
Yeah.
But then I heard about that. There was a new study starting in Leiden that also was let's call it a non-white philosophy study. So philosophy definitely in the West tends to be like old Greek men with beard, old Roman men with beard, old Germans with beards, English men with beard, French, the Europeans, old men with beard, right? But philosophy is much broader than that. You have Buddhism, you have Hinduism, you have Confucianism, you have Taoism, you have different ways. You have like Ubuntu, you have different philosophies from either be it from Asia, be it from Africa, that are equally valid or sometimes, in my opinion, more valid than the Western systems. And I was lucky enough that I was in the experimental class the first year of a study where we got all of them equally.
Okay,
instead of just getting the European one. And I was like, oh, maybe we'll talk about some Chinese philosophy one day. We actually got them all equally and in conversation with each other. And and that's kind of what I ended up doing.
That's cool.
What was the name of the study?
It was Philosophy, Global and Comparative Perspectives. That's the whole title. But
like you heard that. Philosophy.
It's in my brain. It's like a riddle. But yeah, just philosophy, the English philosophy. I was even
going to go back and saying like that's also one of the problems coming from the island is that we don't get to go to the open days. We don't get to shop around to see what studies are out there, especially if you grew up with the very generic ones, like doctor, this and this and this. So it's like it's such a common thing to come here and then have to switch. Yeah, basically. But then it's like once you're here, you could find what's your thing.
Yeah, what you're saying, indeed, it's very correct. Like our view is a bit limited when we're on the islands, which is fair because we're in small communities and small spaces.
You don't know what you don't know.
Like one of my friends that went to study communication and media design, for example. In 2013, this was still relatively new when we came to the Netherlands.
True.
But it was something that they never heard of before. And if it wasn't for having a friend here who was telling them about it so they could hear about it back home, then they wouldn't have known that that's the direction they want to go. Eventually they became a nurse. It's okay. But but still, yeah. And I think anyway, like having to make a decision for the rest of your life at 18, there's no other decision you make for the rest of your life at that age, except for like, what is my whole career going to be?
And technically it's 14 if you do in HAVO.
Also, yeah.
Like within the Dutch system.
Yeah, it starts when you pick your package, right? Yeah.
Because the first thing I wanted to be was an interior designer, but I was horrible at scheikunde. So I was just like, chemistry.
You need chemistry for interior design.
At that time, all the studies in Holland were saying you needed go to the NG, and here NT to go do interior designing. And I was like, I'm not doing chemistry and I'm not doing physics. So then I had to go I don't know why I chose business, but I went that route. Well, it's like, that was never really what I wanted to do. And it's like you have to choose at what about you just finished Harvard Ligature 14.
So you came here to do business?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, because I was curious, just how do you get from there to teaching? How do you get from there to teaching then?
Economy and maatschappij. But technically, if I think about the kind of person I am, I should actually choose culture and maatschappij. But I choose that because that's where that had a more broader range of studies you could do. So, and it's like, basically, when you think about it, you limit yourself per package. If you choose NG, you could get into any study. If you choose, NT.
NT.
If you choose NG, you could do anything within like health care. But you could also do more things. If you choose business, you could do more things, but less. You can't do the other things that they're doing. Yeah. And they're doing it like levels because this is
like
how it seems.
It's a sliding scale, right?
Like
it's like a hierarchy.
And then if you choose culture and society, you could literally only do like limited amount of studies. So it's like you're asking kids at 14 to basically choose a direction based on what. It's like, but I think now it's a bit more flexible. You could get into a bit more based on the package you choose. But back then, it was way more strict.
It really was. It was also one of the motivations why I picked the NT originally. I was like, I can do anything later. We'll see.
Exactly. Yeah. But what happened to the kids that are not good at chemistry?
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
I don't know. Because for me, it's like that was part of my struggle coming here and not knowing, being very limited as to what I could do. But, I always wanted to be a teacher, and that's why I ended up choosing that path, because that's just way more who I am. But I could imagine that, like, if you have at 14 a package where you can't do what you want to do, how much of a struggle that is. But I wanted to know, how are you end up doing what you did?
It's very similar to what you say, where it's like you felt like you was pushed in the direction to just go to the Netherlands and you didn't even really make the choice. It was kind of made for you. I also kind of have the same with the direction I went in with regards to my study. However, I do think the choice makes full sense. In the sin fun, I do think I'm lucky in that sense that what I chose is what I want. As in business for me, I think growing up around business and whatnot, in my head, I was just like, one of the reasons I actually got a neck tattoo was because it was so taboo and I knew I was going to be doing big things. And I was like, yeah, I'm doing big things and I have a neck tattoo. Like, what are you going to tell me? And I think for me, that's always been a thing. However, where it was limited for me was, at least what I feel a lot of schools should promote is the understanding that you could experiment, but also create the spaces where you could experiment. I know that leading up to like when you're 14 and whatnot, you get subjects. I feel like it's very different from getting the idea of how this could apply to the rest of your life. And I think for me, with the whole business aspect, I feel like one thing I struggled with for a little bit was realizing that, or finding a way to merge my creativity with my business side. Because I'm not just strictly business. I think who I am is creative at my core. And I had to find a way to just make what I do creative. But that was a journey within itself, because I thought what I had to do had to be structured. It had to be, I don't know, it just had to make sense. There needed to be a business model and it needed to be strict and da-da-da-da-da. Whereas I didn't feel like I experimented from a place of just being free and being creatively myself. But I reached that point. It's just a case of like in school, you don't really, I feel like I didn't really get that reality. Like I didn't ever think I would be a graphic or web designer. That was something I was just like, I'll probably own a business, maybe do something in shipping or do something that's just big industry type thing. Yeah.
I know. No, I was going to say, I think the problem sometimes too with school is like, it's there on paper.
Yeah.
But I think translating it to how you do that in a lesson is the problem. Because it's like, you have schools having to meet requirements of like digital skills.
Yeah.
Where I think like, oh yeah, you have to know how to do a PowerPoint and da-da-da. But I think they missed the mark in like explaining why. So it's like, if you know how to do a PowerPoint or a poster, you're not realizing that that's already the foundation of knowing how to make a poster to becoming a craft. And if you as a student realizing like, I love this, I can sit on my computer all day designing a poster, that's already where you start. You plant the seed. Yep. I feel like if you like talking in front of groups of people, when you have, I remember doing like a presentation, and I love that.
100%.
And you had the students, I used to be like, why you have a problem standing in front of the class? And like, you don't realize that those things is where, I tell people say that a lot, it's like schools don't set you up for the rest of your life, but it's skills that it teaches you. But I don't feel like they do like a good job with explaining what exactly you're getting from this as to why you could apply it later on in life. I think they link it to a subject or they link it to a task. And I think us being teenagers as well just don't want to work. So we're not always seeing it. But I think that's what it is. And I feel like they need to just do a better job in like explaining where all you could go with what you're doing exactly at this moment.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think sometimes also, at least from what I remember from high school, they focus too much on like, you have to learn this subject.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think the content sometimes is not even that important later. It's the processes. So indeed, how do you collaborate with a team and make it group project? How do you present, how you stand in front of an audience or a group and present your idea clearly?
How you work with people.
Yeah, how you work with people. Those are like these like transferable skills that any job you have, you need to be able to do those things.
Exactly.
But indeed, it never, at least I don't remember it being framed like that of like, oh, this presenting is going to help you later. It's more like, oh, if you don't do this math homework, you're going to fail in the future. It's like, oh, but that's not.
And I feel like those are the stages that we're really molded. Because I got that when I went to college, as in Hogeschool Rotterdam. When I studied business, you finally get that. You get, even, we had what was it called? It was like English correspondence or whatever, where we would have to write letters in the class. Not write, but type letters, type official formal letters or create emails and stuff like that, where they would teach you the basic skills. Presenting, that was almost necessary for every class, where it's like, no matter which class you went to, you would have to present. Teamwork was also a really big thing. I feel like when I came to the Netherlands is where I really got the insights of how a business world would look like for me. And I think going through that was like, okay, now I needed to still find how a creative world mixes into that. But I wasn't actively looking for that. I just realized now in hindsight that my creativity was diluted a bit because there's a certain idea of business and what that looks like. And it's more of a serious idea rather than, I feel like, an explorative idea. So that was kind of my, I wouldn't say speed bump. I would say hill that I kind of just had to get over. But eventually I got there.
Because then how would you explain where you is now? Because we know you've been doing a lot.
Yeah.
And the people, if you don't know what you've been doing, maybe you
Google
need to touch on that.
Yeah.
You should literally Google it.
I might explain some of it in my whole explanation. How did I get here? So sometimes a little bit of accident. I think I was a bit of lucky. I'm not going to deny the little bit of luck that was there. But I'll kind of get to it. So at this moment, I work at Pakhuis de Zwijger, which is this public cultural space in Amsterdam where we organize free events. They range from like performances to more dialogues to more just lectures. And I specifically work in the teams of anti-racism, of decolonization, and visibility for the islands. Yeah. Those are the 3 topics that I'm covering. And I just made 3 years that I'm there. Got my full-time contract and whatnot. And I think I think doing this work, because in the end it's organizing. What I do is I organize the event. I also have the creative control of like, what is the form and what is the content? What are we going to talk about? And are we going to have 2 performances, or are we just going to sit down at the table and talk? You know, I really get to shape it in every way. I think I was doing this a lot before I started working here. And that is like, I think this organizing people is something that actually was a true line since high school in what I did. And I just managed to find a place where I can do it while talking about topics that I find very important. So let's say like I grew up in my town. I actually saw my grandpa organize. I got to start there. I can't talk about organizing without talking about my grandfather, my late grandfather on Bonaire. He brought judo to Bonaire. Pretty much all the senseis on Bonaire right now were students of my grandfather.
That's really cool.
It's super cool. I remember I saw him getting like the 4th teacher belt. Like there's multiple belts above black. I remember he got the 4th one at some point, just by mail. He's like, oh yeah, cool. I got this thing. Okay, cool. And he just put it on the wall. It's like, okay.
It was higher than black.
It has actual sun pattern on it. So it's like this red with the like kind of like the sun rays. Yeah. He also founded one of the football teams in our town, Vespo, in Rincon. We have 2 football teams, and one of them is my grandpa helped found it. he set up all these domino tournaments that a lot of the elders, you know, when they're already they're in a pension and they're just in town.
Tables.
Yeah, they just break in tables, open like because my grandpa, he also built like a judo studio, like a dojo.
Yeah.
But then they use the space for a lot of different things. So also for the domino things, they just bust out all the tables, all the chairs, all the elderly in our community, they sit and work and play together. It's beautiful.
That's wholesome.
So I think that organizing is something I've actually seen a lot, you know. And then when there was like a barbecue for judo, it was us as kids that had to clean the chicken and like and barbecue the things. So, you know, I've kind of had a bit of that in me since I was a kid. In high school also, I became part of the student council. We would organize talent shows and things like that. Really try to... sounds like a Virgo. Yeah, it fits. And also, because this also ties a bit to my activism, I would say. And then in high school also, I had a really big mouth. I was kind of annoying. I remember I was cool with all teachers, but they know that I was dangerous and they
rebellious.
They should leave me alone, kind of. So I was someone, I would get into like English class, for example, while they're explaining, I already write down everything in the assignments. And I'm like, oh, hey, I'm done. Can I leave now? And they would know. They would know. They were like, oh yeah, just go. Just go. Don't stay here, because if you stay, it's going to be worse. So I was one of those people. But then, you know, I was in the student council and I would be just downstairs in my not official break, because I just have class, but I'm done, playing dominoes with people. And then 2 kids will come up like, yeah, the teacher just kicked me out of the class for no reason. You know, so and so and so. And I'm like, oh, what, really? You know, I'm in the student council, right? Okay, let's go. And I would just get everybody from the table, like, let's go to the teacher now and tell them this is unjust.
Oh my God.
So, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall.
So it's been there. It's been there. And sometimes you don't realize it, but it's me going back myself and thinking about like, but wait, what are all these weird things I was doing in high school sometimes? Then I'm like, oh, wait, it did build up to where I am now. So then I moved here. There was maybe a bit of not a lot of official organizing, but we just talked about how we met, for example, around the
barbecue,
the King's Day barbecues. That's organizing in a way. That's bringing community together. Because we were just bringing students from the Dutch Caribbean that didn't have anything for King's Day. And we're like, oh, you know what? It's a free day.
And it was amazing.
It was amazing. Yeah. So it's always kind of been there, the organizing. And so, then I went to Bonaire for my internship. And this was kind of where the butterfly effect of everything started. There's a human rights organization on Bonaire. I will not name them. I'm gonna leave it there. But I did my internship there, and I learned a lot. I did learn a lot. I got in connection also with people that are working on like just social justice throughout the Caribbean. And it was during that internship that I met somebody. This person, Chihiro, do shout her out. You can vote for her if you vote in Amsterdam, by the way. Shout out Chihiro, who showed up then, and she was doing research for a case that they were building. They were trying to talk to people from Bonaire then in 2021, for a climate justice lawsuit that Greenpeace was going to start.
And you said, sign me up.
No. So this was later. So this was then, and this was just 2 completely separate things. The Greenpeace thing comes back way later. But when I met her there and I was talking to her about like what I learned about colonialism on Bonaire, what I see when it comes to how our island is being taken over by Dutch people, how we're losing more and more of the islands. When I was sharing some of those things with her, she said like, hey, I have this organization, Arales. Come back to that in a second as well. Arales, and we give these online lectures just from people all around the world and just really talking about perspectives from the global south.
Okay.
And I would like you to do that lecture. And it was just like an online thing. So then I did it. And when I did that lecture, in the end, when some people stayed in a call to talk, my current team leader was in that call. And that's how we got to know each other. And then later we worked together on something. I actually went to an event to speak as a guest, kind of like how you guys went to speak at Pakhuis. I went there as a guest to speak. And literally at the end of that, he's like, oh, where are you working? And at the time I was selling my soul at a call center for an insurance company. I was trying to make money. I just, I need to pay bills, So I told him literally that. I'm like, I'm selling my soul to an insurance company. And he was like, oh, you wanna come here? And that's how I got my job.
Oh, wow.
So that's the part of luck, of course, of the right people being in the right place. Of course, I did 100%. my studies, things I did in Bonaire, etc. Also just, all that type of work that kind of brought me to meet those people. But I did need some luck to have those people there to say,
100%.
we want you on board.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely a bit of both. And so that organization, which I did that lecture for, Arales, I am one of its board members now.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like a lot of those things, they kind of flow back into each other somehow.
Like puzzle pieces.
Synergy.
Yeah.
Which brings you to the biggest win, I feel like, for the Caribbean in general. I don't know if you saw this TikTok. It was a TikTok or it was on Threads that I saw it. This American was talking about how this is a win for like Caribbean people in general.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like you should explain what that is. As to,
Yes. So the 28th of January, just now, 2026, me along with 7 other people from Bonaire, backed by Greenpeace, we sued the Dutch state for climate justice, and we won. Yes. I honestly was very surprised. I thought, because we had two demands. The first demand being, English, adaptation, being that... I'm used to doing it in Dutch. Adaptation, which is we want to be research and concrete plans made with the people from Bonaire to help the island against the consequences of climate change, which is something that we're experiencing a lot. I don't know how it is for the other islands, but things that we experience on Bonaire, and maybe you all recognize this. Soil erosion, the soil is drying up and people can't grow things. The sea level is rising. We're losing beaches. There's a beach that I went to as a kid that I can't go to anymore because it's fully underwater almost.
Yeah.
The issues in St. Martin primarily have to do with unsustainable developments and underdevelopment.
Also, because in the overdevelopment, it further impacts your soil. It impacts 100%. Things like heat. So that it makes it worse. It's like putting a fuel on the fire. Coral bleaching. Bonaire is one of the best diving spots in the world. And I went swimming almost every day during my high school. And when I go now, it's so different. It's a lot. It's catastrophic.
Yeah.
It's really... It hurts a lot, even just thinking about it, when it comes to just seeing how the underwater life has been impacted. There are some places that are still okay, but I think a lot of the places that are a bit more public for us when I was growing up, that a lot of locals went to, now are places that are there's, again, the overdevelopment. There's resorts and everything, and they pollute the water, they damage the water. There was one resort, Chogogo, I think it's like a Corendon resort. Yeah, I think it's owned by Corendon. Bonaire, we have a very strict law against importing sand. You are not allowed to import sand on Bonaire. It's like super illegal.
Yeah.
Why? Because it impacts the underwater life. We have very rough, like volcanic sand. And sometimes just corals. We don't have those beautiful beaches they have on Aruba, and we're totally fine with it. Because for us, it's about the relation with the underwater life. So this hotel, they build their space on Bonaire. They're like, we got to make this Caribbean experience for all the white people.
And they brought sand.
So they import a bunch of fine sand. I think it was from Puerto Rico. They imported a bunch of fine sand. And within like 2 weeks, there was like a storm. All that sand got deposited onto the corals. And that's why you don't, and it chokes them because it's too fine.
Exactly.
And that's why you don't import sand to Bonaire.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of different things that happen in relation to that, but specifically the direct climatological things are soil erosion, extreme heat, people can't go outside during the day anymore, and sea level rising. So we asked, or we demanded, that we have protection for that as Bonaire, since Bonaire, just like Ceiba, is governed by the Netherlands now. Specifically, our claim in that is also like, hey, here in the Netherlands, you have the Delta Works, which are these mega projects that hold back the sea. That reclaimed an entire island, Flevoland. You have all the grachten and canal systems in the country. And sometimes we walk in Amsterdam, we think like, oh, there's a canal, cool. We don't realize that's a water management system. That's actually part of a complex system, so that if there's too much rain or whatever, it can drain.
Exactly.
Right? So people in the European parts of the Netherlands have protection against damage, climatological damage, while we don't.
Exactly.
So our first demand was like, hey, you need to fix that. And the second demand was, you also need to curb your emissions in the Netherlands, Because if you're going to help us, but you're going to keep polluting, the water is going to keep rising. And then why are we even doing this, right?
Yeah.
So those are the two demands we had, adaptation and mitigation. And to be really honest, going in, we already kind of knew they're going to give us adaptation. It would be so crazy to not give us the same protection as the rest of the Netherlands, because then they would be admitting that we don't matter. So we were like, okay, that one we're going to win pretty sure.
Yeah.
Mitigation, which is curbing the emissions, we were a bit more skeptical about, because often countries like the Netherlands, small countries, they'll say like, oh, but look at China, they're polluting a lot, or look at India, which is not completely fair to say, because countries in the West have polluted so much in the past to develop themselves. And it's about that responsibility also that we're trying to tell them, hey, you need to pick up your responsibility in that.
Essentially.
Yes. But we won everything. We were so surprised when we heard, oh, but also with mitigation, you guys are right. And specifically that the judge said, the Netherlands has to come with a plan within 18 months, of completely reworked plan of their entire economy and how that relates to carbon emissions. And usually when they make these reports of like, this is how much CO2 we release, they don't add the shipping that happens in Rotterdam because it is too important economically. Shipping, which is super polluting. And they don't add Schiphol, also because it's too economically important and they don't want to impact Schiphol. So actually for all the years so far, whenever they made their report for how much their emissions they're putting out there, the state excluded those two things. The judge now said, and include them as well, because you have been excluding them constantly. And specifically also about the Bonaire thing, which from my more anti-racism angle was very important, is that the judge recognized, they said like, hey, but the Netherlands, they knew about these climate issues on Bonaire. They know that these things are going on and they chose not to act on it. So therefore you have been discriminating the people of Bonaire. And the judge explicitly said that. And for me, I think it's important to hear that. Because I think sometimes in these negotiations we as the islands have with Bonaire, with the Netherlands, they're always like, oh no, but we'll try. Or like, oh, we really care so much. And they don't do anything. And it was just so reassuring to hear the judge say, no, what you've been doing, it's wrong. You've been excluding part of your population and it's just wrong. So go fix yourself.
That was such a big win. I feel like even you explaining it to in detail like that, I think a lot of us learned a lot. Because I think like we probably see the headlines, or we don't always take the time to like really go into like why this benefits, I think, the Caribbean in general. But I think definitely, as you say, Bonaire, like I didn't know all of the details or the reasons why y'all were affected by it. And I think at this point, like we don't realize, like coming up here, I think listening to your story and your journey is beautiful, because it's like it shows how you could do a lot from here for your island. And I think sometimes people struggle with figuring out how they do that. I feel like there's different paths. Like you could do it from here, or you can move back home, you know? And I think sometimes we're at this stage where it's like, how do we make an impact on our island? But you have to choose a path.
Essentially. And I think it's interesting because like with Sabre, I'm not going to lie, Sabre, we don't, the whole overdeveloping, maybe I'm not as informed, but we luckily don't have that issue heavily. Like we have one new hotel, which just took the place of another hotel. But essentially, I could tell you we have like 2 hotels. And when it comes to just climate issues, I think for us, one thing I could appreciate is the island, we're like just a big rainforest. So we're quite rich with regards to soil. But I know the diving industry is also quite big. And I know that has had issues because of like the shipping and whatnot. And we literally have a harbor being built right now. And I'm quite scared for what that could mean, because it's going to be a really big harbor compared to what we have, which means we'll probably start experiencing like much bigger ships, maybe cruise ships, because we don't get cruise ships and stuff like that. So I do think, and it's good to hear you say these things, because you don't know what your island could be facing qua climate, because that's not something I look into heavily, but it's good to know the signs of what could cause a climate to go in a bad direction. For example, like with the whole overdeveloping and whatnot. So for me, it's like, a hikey probably gonna call my mother after this and ask her if there's anything we really experience. But I think the fact that we're so small and have like 2,000 people is something that luckily is not heavily apparent on the island. But I do think that also goes in line with the fact that it's funny how the Netherlands sees us all as like one, like, and not entity, but just one combination of just the Caribbean. And they think you could apply the same thing to all. Like I noticed with all the Bonaire, Sebas, and Tustasius, we're all very different. And it's interesting to hear how we do relate to where they could see like, oh, you know, they're the same, but then how we also differ so much.
Yeah, I think, and you say something very important there at the end, it's this weird stance they have in need of like, oh, the islands in the Caribbean. Like, sure, we're all islands in the Caribbean, which we each have such different climates and things.
100%.
I think maybe with Seba, Statia, and St. Martin, it's more comparable climate-wise.
Oh,
Well, Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao are more because we also have arid environment. We're like, I think, a completely different climate from
I feel like
you guys' islands.
But the funny thing
the
is
heat.
No, the funny thing is Seba's quite different from St. Martin and Statia because we're a hill.
Oh yeah,
Seba's quite cold.
Yeah.
So now my parents, well, not even now, like 2 weeks ago, my parents were saying that it was actually really cold to the point where they had to put on like a jacket and whatnot. Like not a winter yas, but like a cardigan or a hoodie because Seba gets quite cold. And then you go Statia and it's like you get a completely different weather, but you're literally 10 minutes away with a plane. So it's...
But I was going to say, that's the one thing other than what Christian just mentioned, that's the one thing I do notice on the island. Like when you try to, I think people are not noticing, are not aware of what climate change is. I think that's the one thing you speak to people on the SSS Islands is literally the temperature. Like I remember growing up not needing airco. That's a simple thing. But now when you go back, the heat is so crazy that it's like everybody need airco in their house to even survive and live. And those are little things that we don't really pay attention to as to what changes when it comes to climate change. What changes when it comes to climate change.
But I also feel like we don't take it serious. We don't think it's something so with climate change, it's been consequences that unfold at like a slower rate than what we think is an immediate consequence. So it's like if you look at hurricanes get worse. If you look at the heat gets hotter. But in the moments of these things happen, there's buildup. During the buildup, we don't realize that we build it up. Or we do realize it, we just don't take it serious because we don't see the consequences right away. I feel like all the BS we was doing, like when we was younger, now we feeling the consequences of that. Yeah. Whereas the kids now, what BS they doing, along with, of course, the whole community, they gonna feel the consequences of that later. And I think that's why a lot of people don't take climate change very seriously. They just think, you know, when it happens.
We think because it's not happening tomorrow is not something to take seriously, but it's already happening. I think that's the main message I think people need to understand, that it's not something that happening in 10 years. As you just mentioned, it's already happening.
Definitely.
So I think that's the wake-up call. I think a lot of people need to realize that we keep speaking about it like it's a future, something that's going to happen in the future. Like when we used to talk about 4D.
Yeah.
But it's like...
But in that same breath...
But I also want, if I may add on to that though, because what you're saying is very fair. And one analysis I always also share when I'm speaking about climate here, which you guys are addressing right now, is this beef I have with the climate movement, specifically the white climate movement. When I went to the Caribbean, we went on a climate camp on St. Martin, and I met other people from the Caribbean who were doing climate. I was like, oh wait, there's two different worlds. But here, it's indeed that very much like, it's tomorrow. We got to do it for our kids, and it's far away. Well, I when I met those people in the Caribbean, like from St. Croix, from Trinidad, from like everywhere, these are people that are on the ground experiencing these issues, but also finding solutions to them. And this analysis that I always give here is, I am privileged enough to think about the climate. I have a cousin on Bonaire. He works two and a half jobs. When he's done working one job, he goes to the other job. In the weekend, he works the other half job. He doesn't have time to come with this analysis of how all these climate things are connected. I'm privileged to have come here to study, privileged to been to a university, a privilege to have a job that with one job I can kind of get around, you know? So I can dedicate all this energy and extra time I have to reading up, to making this analysis, to meeting up with people that are really, you know, doing this climate stuff. So I think that's also maybe a bit of the gap that we have on the islands. And I hope this is coming over as I'm saying it, like, I mean, it's with the best of intent.
Yeah, I get
people are struggling and trying to survive, and then you don't have time for all this big stuff because you're trying to feed your kids. You're trying to make survival mode. Yeah. So I think that's also something that definitely I think being in a climate movement, I've learned to have grace for, and also finding ways to address both climatological issues and social issues. You need to address both.
Yeah.
And then it really kind of works out. Because just now you mentioned the heat got worse. The heat's gotten worse, and now we all need aircos. This is something on Bonaire we also feel. But an airco is not cheap. An airco is expensive to buy, and it's expensive to maintain.
Yeah.
So this is something where some people that are just poorer, that have less money to give out, they can't afford it, and they have to deal with this heat. So then also there's this like social inequality that's being strengthened by the climate inequality, and those two things keep feeding into each other.
There's symptoms of symptoms.
I want to say as well, like ERCO requires so much energy.
And your bills.
Of the islands, not only just the bills, but like where does St. Martin get the energy from? It's all fuel. There is no renewable energy in that way on the island. So
also, yes.
But I think even maybe switch it up a bit. But I think even that's why, to me, back to my point of like, I think I said it on the last panel. There's people like to say outside the fight, inside the fight. I think sometimes when we stay up here, that's why I still feel like it's important to try to fight it from here. But I do feel like there's a lot of people that feel a strong connection of having to go back and fighting it there whenever it comes to anything, not just climate change, just anything. So like, for example, the brain drain problem. Brain drain problem. And we wanted to highlight that this episode because this episode is sponsored by America in the Caribbean, who is hosting their 4th edition of the National Career Burst in Amsterdam, right?
And it will be on the 24th and the 25th of April. Now, they have a performance. And I know you know this person, Jayon.
I saw it, yes.
Yes, so guys, they bring in Jayon.
Jayon.
They have 50 plus Caribbean companies. So if you're a student or you just finished study, you're maybe just somebody who's in the workforce and you're looking for something different, definitely attend because there will be a lot of countries there. There will be Suriname, there's Bonaire, St. Martin.
All the Dutch Caribbean.
Saba was there for the first time last year, so that was kind of cool. But it's also just a really good environment to be in, especially with regards to meeting just interesting people. I feel like the Carriera Burst is not only a place to find careers, but also find like-minded people.
But also like seeing what's going on the islands with companies and what they're offering. I think sometimes being up here, also the opposite. It was like, we up here now, we don't pay attention to what's going on down there and what opportunities you have down there. And I feel like this is a good way where they're bringing it to us now to kind of actually go and see what it has going on. So you have options to see what you could maybe do if you're planning to go back home. And even if you're not from the Caribbean and you're here and you just want to get out of the Netherlands, pull up, or wherever you're from in the world, it would be good to just pull up and see what the Caribbean has to offer to Bern.
So 24th, 25th of April, when Gian is performing, I will be there. So if y'all want somewhere to just explore what's home or what's abroad.
Don't they usually have like pastiches and stuff there as well?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to double check. They have pastiches there.
A lot of the companies bring the Caribbean vibe with the food and the pastiches and the Johnny cakes. Exactly. So come and experience the Caribbean vibe and see what we're about. Maybe, you have the opportunity to work there and fight the good fight on the island.
And we definitely need our Caribbean people working back home on the islands. Instead of those who maybe are not as connected to the islands and just come there to vacation for half a year and leave things behind bad. So we definitely need our local Caribbean people from all of the Caribbean, doesn't matter which island you're from, come back to the Caribbean to put in work.
Yeah. But in Bonaire, how is that environment with regards to like brain drain and whatnot?
It's terrible. It's bad. So it's a topic that I'm working with as well back home. We had a couple of programs to bring kids back, like the TOP program. I don't know if you guys had that in St. Martin and Saba. I know Curaçao also had it, TOP.
Maybe
it sounds familiar, but
so it's just this thing often with governmental jobs, like just from the local governments, where they're like, oh, hey, we're looking for people to do policy, people to do, etc. And then they would specifically recruit students that just finished to go back.
Okay.
Like I know a couple of friends of mine they've gone back to Bonaire with that.
Is it the thing where they also set you up in like
they set you up in
we have that also.
So, but that program ended actually. It's not ongoing anymore. The person who was running it is now the director of WeConnect. Pam.
Yep, met her.
Yeah. She used to run that program. That's how I met her. She's super cool. It's a really great program. I'm together with a couple other kids from Bonaire. We made our own youth council. Let's call it a youth council. I don't know how to translated to English specifically, a youth advice board kind of. And we have a contract with the government of Bonaire. And one of the assignments we're also dealing with is how do we mobilize the diaspora here to go back home. I think it's a complicated issue though. I think it's sometimes easier said than done.
100%.
Depending, like, I think such a career, like the Carrièrebeurs you're just referring to, it's like a lot of different companies from all the islands together. But I'm wondering if you're filter on Bonaire, how much you'll actually see them. That
we can let you know.
That is not the government, not RCN, right? Because you could want to do that fair, but I feel like some people also just really want to go into just commercial work, and you're often going to be restricted to just getting a job at RCN or at OLB.
Because the one company from Seba was the government.
Yeah, which is RCN. RCN, right? Yeah, it's the same.
And public entity, they kind of, the public entity is really government building. You would do, I don't know, finance or something. Yeah. And with RCN is more so,
exactly the same thing for Bonaire.
Well, maybe hopefully it grows to the point where companies could also afford to come and promote that.
Definitely. And there are more now at that. So I'm not talking about the Burst specifically. So there are more companies there. But when you look at, even if we take all of that and look at what the offering is for Bonaire, it's not enough to bring all the kids from Bonaire back.
Yeah. And that's what I used to think. With brain drain, I feel like a lot of the responsibility hinges on us as students to leave the island, to get the resources that we would need and bring it back. But I also do feel like we have to look at it from a place of how do we as the island also create the environment for students to come back.
Exactly.
Because I notice it's limited in the sense that you get RCN or you get government jobs, especially because one, they also pay more, where it's it makes more sense with regards to just living a balanced or not too pressured life. And I think, at least for Seba, I do think the creative industry is something that it's very minimal right now. But I also think that applies to a lot of the industries that are just not generic. And I think when governments think about how do we get people back to the island, I do feel like they could create, how do you say that in English? Why we all struggling with the vacatura. They could create vacancies that kind of find a way to merge what is normal and just generic for them, but touch into the industries that they know are emerging, but they just refuse to kind of adopt. And I think that would create an environment where kids are like, oh my gosh, this is different. This is something that could be exciting, but it's also something that aligns more with me. Because I don't want to just sit behind a desk and do administrative work. I may want to do something that has a goal beyond what we've known growing up. So for me, I try to think to myself, and maybe I should speak to the people in government about it, but I try to find ways of how could we create a less of a brain drain from the root rather than looking at the fruits. Yeah. And we being the fruits.
The deal with going back, of course they want you to come back, but nobody's going to come and look for you in Holland and say you have to come back. Because a lot of us are still up here, Yeah. At the same time, a lot of us go back. And that's something I've been very proud of when I look. It's sad for me because a lot of the people I used to be around with back then, a lot of them are gone back now, and I find it so beautiful. And so to me, it's I always have the conversation of unfortunately, because of capitalism, I feel like we stay here. That's my point of view. Because I feel like when I look at why they're happy, they don't go back with the mindset of how am I going to survive? They go back with the mindset of what feeds me as a person. When I have the conversation with them, it's they don't always think about the money. They're they're going to figure it out. They're going to either start their own things. And I look at my friends in the creative space, they've started their own things and they figure out ways to do what they were doing here and bringing it back home. But then what really feeds them is the fact that they have their community, the fact that they have their family, the fact that sometimes how we always in a bubble here is they don't have to be in a bubble there. And I feel it depends on the type of person you are. I feel it depends on who you are. You're going to really realize what feeds you as a person, if what makes the decision of going back or not. Because I was listening to what we were talking about just now, and I always look at it as I don't know. I do feel if you want to contribute to your island, I do think it's not that it's placed on me, but I think it's what do I stand for? That's how I see it. I don't think anybody really, of course, a lot of the generations before they say you should come back. Or even what you say is if we're going to give you this money, you could come back. And it feels like a huge weight on your shoulder. I also see it as But of course we should, you know, like even back to the problem of like brain drain. It's like, why would you not want to come back to like build your island, which made you? That's how I see it. But I think like everybody have this standpoints in it, but that's always been how I look at it. So like that was my dream to go back, but it's just figuring out how and what.
I think you always have those different approaches to it because this makes a lot of sense. I think for how I look at it, like being born on the island, my roots are spread out through the Caribbean. So it's like what I do now essentially, but also how I look at it. I'm one of the kids who are like, I'm going to give back from abroad, while also being able to build systems where I could go home for say moments in time and do something there, or like how you do essentially.
Pretty much.
But I think for me, that feeds me because I also am fed by being a child of the world. I've always said this on the pod. I will always be a child of the world. The fact that I have to pay $720 to go to St. Lucia from Sabre, but I'm paying like $150 to go to Spain. For me, it's difficult to be a child of the world in a country where regional air like travel is not, it's quite limiting. But also, I don't know, I just feel like capitalism is definitely something that keeps us here, just from a place of, one, you look at how much you make here and you're like, if I go back home, you know, I'm going to be like scraping for stuff. And I think knowing what is enough for you rather than thinking of a specific figure being enough is something important that I do think people have to realize, because if you go through life thinking you don't have enough, you will always not have enough. Like for me, I always try to find a place where it's like, I'm always fulfilled. But I just think with regards to how I view going back home, I do think it's essential for certain people who are able to see themselves back home, as in certain people who also have that thing of like, you have your community there, you're able to serve not only from a place of being capitalistic, but from a place of being a villager in that sense, where it's like, there's more ways to serve than appeasing the brain drain. But I do think it's so interesting that across the Caribbean, you have so many different students who think of it so differently. Like,
I feel like your wants could always be different. I feel like but I think my issue has always been how people speak on the islands. I feel like even when we think on like why this is a case, why we have to leave in the first place, I feel like let's start there rather than, and then we look at the government. Okay, but why is the government the way it is now? I feel like these are conversations we should be having. I feel like, of course, wanting to live somewhere else, or everybody have their different needs and wants. But I feel like whenever people speak about going back home, I always feel like the conversation is about, it's not always really introspective of like what is really going on the island, but more so like pointing fingers. And of course, that's valid. But I feel like until we have like the real conversations as to why things are happening and then how you contribute to that, I feel like a lot of people like, that's why I feel like it's beautiful in general, like what we all doing. Yeah. But a lot of the people that I speak to up here is like, I'm not going back because, of course, depending on whatever field you're working in, I'm not making this and this and this. But then on top of that, they also choose to just, to me, it's like the decision of like just focusing on you as an individual or you as a part of the world. And I feel like some people choose to just focus on them as an individual when they stay up here. And that's the issue I just have with a lot of the time versus like, you can always do what you want to do, but then it's like, what are you doing, you know, as being something that's part of
for others.
Yeah.
I also wanted to make a point. I think like what we didn't touch on here is that Bonaire, Statia, and Sabre are in a unique position, because even if you were to go back, because St. Martin is full of freelancers and creative entrepreneurs, it's central on businesses. However, the issues are also very systematic, because it's very difficult to run an online business and just do your freelance business in St. Martin. I don't know what that's like in Bonaire or Sabre, but
in Spanish in Sabre.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. But like, you're also Dutch, so you also, well, under the Dutch gemeentes, you might have more protection when it comes to, for instance, your insurance or etc. I heard that in St. Martin, might be wrong, but if I believe correctly, if you are a freelancer or self-employed, you're not covered by the insurance the same way, which also becomes, if I wanted to go back home and I know myself to probably be an entrepreneurial person, I don't have the same protections. And that's coming from someone that's already in the kingdom, but not in this.
Yeah. So that also points out to the inequality within the kingdom itself, right? Where depending where you are in the kingdom, you'll have completely different rights. And also tying back to what you two were saying earlier, I think one of the factors when it comes to brain drain that maybe it's a bit more difficult to talk about, and maybe this is not the time to fully dive into it, it's work culture. Like, so we've, together with this youth group from Bonaire, BitLab, we've made a book containing 33 stories of Bonairean youths that either have stayed on Bonaire and just figured it out and have left the island, most in the Netherlands, but some even in Canada, some in Italy. We try to make this, it's like actually just a tool for the high school kids now that they can read this book and be like, oh, hey, this is what the generation before me went through. Yeah. Because I don't know if you guys were prepared for things like that when you left, but did they tell you about winter depression?
No. Yeah.
Did they tell you about homesickness? So we try to make a book with very personal stories. Yeah. And one thing that came through in that book a lot is in that, like what you're saying, money being one of the things. A bit more technically, that there is not the industry that you want to work in on Bonaire. Like, for example, my brother with his PhD in theoretical physics, he can only go teach there, but then it's also not even fully fulfilling what he went to study for. So I get those type of cases as well. But work culture, and this is something I didn't fully expect to come back, but I've seen it come back a couple of times. And then when I think about my own internship at Bonaire, I recognize it. I'm like, oh wait, yes, we don't have the best work culture back home.
We don't have the what?
We don't have the best work culture. Still a lot of hierarchy. Like a lot of like, oh, but I'm older than you, so you have to listen to me. Things like that. And I've noticed that specifically, that what I just said is a thing that demotivates a lot of people that want to study to go back. Because they're like, I went to study, I got the expertise, but when I come back home, some people who might not have that expertise, at least the way I got it, they tell me to shut up because I'm just a kid or something. And that is also a factor that I know for some people is a thing that might keep them back sometimes. Yeah. But I don't know if we're going to fully unpack that now, but I did want to mention that as a factor.
It is a factor, but then to me, that is brain drain.
But I do feel like...
that is brain drain. It's like, but if nobody going back to change these people and get these people out of here, that culture is going to stay there. But I also feel like we also up here, don't be honest of how hard things up here is too. Because it's like work culture up here also in the West. We also deal with things up here that it depends on the type of person you are. Like you might not do well with this type of work culture up here.
Fair, very fair.
I also think that like when I hear people sometimes speak about money and they scrambling on St. Martin, I think a lot of people not honest with how they're scrambling up here, especially like with how the world going. And that's why I feel like people not having these conversations. It depends on the field you're working in. But I know a lot of people in my age range are also struggling in Holland. Yeah, and to me, it's like for me right now, I have more money in my pocket if I move home. Like plain and simple, because I don't have a rent to pay. Yeah. Me personally, that's my privilege. Some people have to think about that if they move back home. But it's like, to me, there's all these type of things. It just depends on your situation, your wants and needs, whatever.
Definitely.
I think one of the biggest things is like what you said in the beginning, capitalism, where it's like capitalism is not only a thing of the Western world, where I do feel like even you mentioned a lot of people are in survival mode where it's like I feel like capitalism kills magic in terms of we as humans could be very, not magical in the sense of woo, but we could do so much from the heart or so much just from being able to operate in our full authentic selves, but also from not feeling like in doing that, we killing ourselves. I feel like what feeds creativity or what feeds a person, what feeds communities is the ability to actively give back to your community without having to think your roof is going to get taken away. And I think that's what makes it hard, because I'll be very honest, like you say, we would be able to not have to pay rent. So we have that privilege of if we go home, we could potentially make more and
not make more, or have pocket.
Have more in our pocket.
Very different.
Have more left over.
We could potentially have more in our pockets, but it is really a case of like a lot of students, or maybe a lot of students also don't want to live with their parents if that rent is covered by living with your parents. So it becomes difficult because now you're juggling moving with purpose and moving with a responsibility for your community and moving with surviving. Because I do feel like what we're trying to do now, at least a lot of us, is find a middle ground. Because that's in what I do, I'm finding a middle ground. In what we're doing on this podcast right now is finding a middle ground. And what you continue to do is finding that middle ground. I just feel like it's hard sometimes to think, oh my gosh, this is my responsibility. I have to go back home to give to my community, while also feeling like there's still more you either need to do up here or understanding that up here accommodates you being able to have that balance and not you negating one or the other.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest struggle for anybody that started something here and it's going. Like for me, like I was just there for Christmas and everybody's always like, but when you coming back? When you coming back? I'm like, y'all congratulating me for having a podcast, but you want me to come back. I'm going to have to, like for me, I never said this in the room, but that would be my choice right now. Do I stay here and focus on the podcast in the studio and wherever, or do I go back home and try to build wherever I want there? And that's kind of where it is right now in my life. And for now, I choose in here. But it's like, that's kind of the sacrifice I'm making for like my actual wants and needs. But it also feeding me in different ways. But I guess that's the middle ground for now. But I don't know where you be.
And yeah, it kind of building on what you both said. I think one thing also when it comes to that brain drain and being here is you can learn more here. 100%. Sadly. Yeah. I don't want it to be that way, but sadly, definitely in whatever more developed field that you would be working in, you can learn more. And for me, I walk that balance a lot. Yeah. But I feel like, did I learn enough to go back? Do I know enough now to go apply it or not? Yeah. And I kind of struggle with that a little bit, but I'm just trying to have the best of both worlds. Yeah. I'm trying to live here in the summer and Bonaire in the winter. That's what I'm trying.
Honestly. And I don't feel like that takes away from you doing something. No. I do feel like it's just how you go about it. I feel like 2 + 2 = 4, but also 1 + 3 is a case of like you find the ways to meet that end goal, but you just know that there's different ways to get there.
Exactly. And it also really depends what you want to do, right? Yeah. Like for me, also in what I do, I realized there is value in me being in the Netherlands. I always say like I'm in the lion's den. Yeah, 100%. Like I'm doing a lot of activism, calling out the inequalities. Yeah, you know.
From here, which is also very important.
And you know, I have access to rooms in The Hague. I sit at tables with some ministers whose names I'm not going to mention right now, but you know, we and not me alone, some other young people from the islands as well. And I do feel like if I was on Bonaire, I could not address those issues that close to the source.
No, you could not.
But yeah, then it's about figuring out how can you kind of do both, or like how can I benefit from what I get here, which is the knowledge and maybe a bit of the funds. Yeah, which is structure actually more. I'm just called structure in general. But how do I also contribute to my community in a way? And I think talking about being creative, I think, and I struggle with this, I think there are creative solutions where you don't have to be on the island. Yeah, and sure. It is an issue because we're trying to combat brain drain. Yeah. So that's why I'm kind of careful talking about this. But if it just doesn't work for you, and for me, I'm still kind of in the middle. I'm like, there's a couple other things why maybe I don't want to go back yet. You can still find through your work, or even if it can't through your actual job, if you have like some time on the side, you want to do something with the community, you know, you can find a way to make it both work. Because sometimes we also think like me helping my community is I have to be back home there. But if in Rotterdam, for example, we have like a mutual friend, we were talking about how they had kind of like a clubhouse that their house was, where everybody, just people from different islands, from Bonaire, from Sabre, from Stager, from St. Martin, people were just walking in and out. And that itself already is community building. You don't need to take it back if you don't want to. Yeah. Because it's creating those moments, creating those spaces why we even know each other and we can do the things that we're doing now, for example, right?
It's like you build it in the areas where it's not just home, like how they say home is also a feeling. It's not necessarily, and that's something I learned growing up, because my home was Sabre, my home was St. Lucia, my home was Suriname, my home was St. Martin. And I think also for me now, I said this before, but like technology is truly, it's not at its peak. I know it's going further, but it's really at a point where being somewhere physically is not as necessary depending on what you're doing. Like for my mom, for example, for different times of the year, she runs campaigns for the community and I assist with that. Whereas like say for example with Halloween, we did a coloring competition with the old home, and they all
that's
sat
cute.
together and colored, and it was
That's
the
so
cutest
nice.
thing ever. But it's like you create that feeling of togetherness from even just being a business that is more strict or more serious. You still push those areas where the community comes together. And I think for Sabre, it's a bit easier to do that because we are a close-knit community. The island thrives off of community. But I've noticed that the pockets where you could still give back without having to be there physically. And I say this quite often, mainly because I live it in a sense where it's like, there's so many things I feel like, one, are being done for the island. I've also sat in rooms where it's like, I've actually had a voice for Sabre, which for me was big because we're very overlooked. We're the 2,000 population. So they don't think we even need anybody to like, say anything. But also just like I mentioned with the podcast, I think this has been doing so much and we aren't there physically. We're physically on your screen as you now go to click the like and subscribe because what are you doing if you're listening and you have not liked and subscribed?
I was literally waiting minutes ago. Like, I think this is a time where you can support.
Like, guys, this is literally the point where you can support. Help us help you.
Yeah.
But also, not to puff up our chest, but we really are doing something that I feel is fundamental for the community, for the young voices that don't feel like their voice have been represented. Because one of the biggest reasons we started this podcast was because we don't hear our experiences or our accent on a mic as much as you would hear a UK accent or an American accent.
Yeah.
And I think just as a student or as somebody in the Netherlands, knowing that you're in survival mode and also trying to find a way to also be in community mode, just sit down and really think, okay, maybe the traditional avenue of what everybody says is not as feasible for me now, but what else is there? Like, what else can I do? And don't think you'll find the answer right away, but just know there is an answer and it'll probably come to you in the most craziest ways, because even me getting dropped into graphic design and whatnot, I didn't study that shit. Like, I didn't expect to be here, but it's a matter of letting your spirit and
But I also think, like, hearing us talk, and I think what we all have in common is community. It's just where you find it.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people, honestly, also just don't have that. And, and
that's a big issue today, yeah.
But not. I don't know if, I was wondering, is it an issue? Like, some people just don't feel the need to have to
epidemic?
be, not even being lonely, but just literally feeling like they have to be a part of a community. They have to contribute to a community. Back to the whole, why I was saying that, like, some people don't feel like they have to provide for others. Like, some people don't have that calling in life.
I think it's an issue.
You think it's an issue?
I'm gonna say it right now. It
It's
might
also
be
maybe a bit
controversial.
cultural, right? Like, I feel like from the islands, from the Caribbean, maybe South America as a whole, we are very like communal people. I think that also maybe is like a bit of a thing. Like, some people automatically crave it. Well,
others are
in the
like
West, people are a bit more individualized, which is fair. I'm not trying to cast judgment on either or right now.
I'm
Actually, I am, but like, I'm not going to judge right now. But
people from our islands, I feel like, I know a lot of people, like, when I think about, like, sometimes I saw classmates I see in high school literally walking on the streets. I'm like, I forget you had exist.
Yeah.
Because it's like, they don't come up here with the idea of, I'm going to contribute to my island. They came up here literally thinking on, okay, I'm here to do a study. What can I do in my life? Some people really focus on how can they build their life. And not that is necessarily selfish. I just think some people have different callings, or what they want out of life is just very different. And I was really trying to think on, like, is that, I don't know if that's a bad thing, but I think it's also just another way of life.
But I also think we only on the outside looking in. I think we mainly focusing on contributing back to our community. And I think that in itself is very important. That in itself is something that a lot of people should do. But I also think, like how you say, not everybody's privileged to be able to think about climate change. Whereas, like, I do think it's okay to have a certain amount of people who do that. And maybe other people are contributing to a community they found, or communities that maybe we don't even know of, where it's like their calling it just looks different to ours.
I feel that's very nice of you to think they contribute into our community.
I do think some might be, not even like maybe a whole community of people like how we have with the islands, but a community of like a group of people where it's like they could still have an impact on people's lives. And I don't know. I just feel like, yeah, it's sticky because with us, we know where we come from and we know what it means to us and we know what it means to give back to that. And I think with some people, sometimes where they come from, they didn't feel like they came from there, or not from a place of like, you're born there, but you don't fully feel like a part of the island or the country.
And I think also that's also put on by sometimes it's from the environment that you're from. Even though you're born there, you love your country. For whatever reason, the environment that raised you made you feel a bit outside.
Yeah.
So you went to go find your belongings.
But that could be
Somewhere
community,
else,
that could be family.
That's true.
That
But
could be different. It could be all kind of things.
And you know, actually, it's nice that you mentioned that, Kirsten, because that's one of the factors also I had in my head the whole time of like why personally I might not go back.
yeah.
I'm a big nerd. I'm really nerdy. I like playing Dungeons and Dragons and stuff. And I don't have a community for that on Bonaire. The only other person on Bonaire who's played is my friend who lived here who moved back.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, so it's also sometimes some small things like that
Exactly.
keep you rooted in other places for a while.
And I do feel like communities can be built broadly from a place of like, you don't need to necessarily have one community. I think communities are what you make them, and communities are a culmination of people who are like-minded in different areas of life. And I think why I don't believe in individualism as much is because I recently was talking about this with a friend, like love is not necessarily a feeling, it's an action. And I think with regards to, but with regards to like carrying out that action, it comes from like hardship for the people that you do love, but not from a place of like they need to earn that love. It just comes from hardship for people.
But I feel like you need to be capable of it. I think a lot of people, depending on back to what we're saying, the environment they come from, whether that's the upbringing, family, friends, community, you have to come from a nurturing and loving environment. I think a lot of the times to be able to love. And I think that's why it's like, at this age, that's why I'm here like, I don't want to point a finger again, but I think some people like, because of how they were raised or brought up, they're just not capable to see it from another point of view. So I'm just like, I wonder if for those people, because I literally see a classmate 2 days ago. I was like, oh my God, like she exists. And I was just like, you know, and when I hear these people, it's like they literally just go to work, they go home, and they are okay with that. Like, and when I even think about how they were in school, they were already like that. They come to school, they do their work, they go home, they don't speak to nobody. And then I don't want to sit here or say that like, okay, you're being an individualistic person, but I think some people just how they were nurtured and brought up, that's who they are as a person. So then I'm just like, is that necessarily a bad thing, or is that something they should fix, or is that just that kind of person and just like do what you want to do?
I think in that sense, like, do you? If it makes sense
it's a bit
for
of
you,
double, because maybe for her community is just her family, and that's enough. And this is one thing, actually, since you're mentioning it, and I want to touch on this lightly, but not go over past my knowledge. We also don't have space for neurodivergence in our community. Not at all. So people that
I don't even think they're aware of it.
People that are indeed more, because we know as Caribbean people, we tend to be maybe a bit more, maybe this is generalization, you know, loud, friendly, we're out there, warm. But there's people that just are wired very differently that don't, you know, for them, it's like, oh no, but if I hug somebody, I'll shut down, you know? And I feel like, at least on Bonaire, we would call those people weird. And that's not fair.
No.
I think now being older,
we don't understand them.
Yeah, being older and having more experiences and encountering more people, and also having some like neurodivergence myself, I've learned like, oh wait, but this is just how people are wired, you know? And, but that's maybe a separate point from what you were saying again, because you have that, like people who are just, you know, have their own small community in whatever sense, but like to keep to themselves. And then you have the people that are truly individualistic. They're like, I don't care about no one. That's a bit, that's a different, I think that's a different.
I'm wondering, because sometimes I hear perspective. I'm like, I don't know if it's because I work around a lot of other cultures that is like, they have very similarities to like our culture. Because it's like, I remember having like this autistic guy in my class, and like even trying to get the students to see that as normal. Like they also have struggled with it up here. And I'm wondering, is it because a lot of them were in Dutch? So I'm like, I'm wondering, like, is it just really a culture, like other culture type thing, that we all have this perspective that like being neurodivergent or on the spectrum is just weird, rather than understanding it.
I mean, it's
fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I think
you can get your answer by asking whether their parents are okay with going to therapy. That's a cultural thing.
It is.
Have your answer.
Yeah. Like, is it?
Yeah.
Is it just not Western to think these things? That sounds very weird, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, that we haven't encountered it enough or something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're saying, Kristen, isn't it a good point? How do people around you deal with therapy and seeking help for these type of things? And I think indeed, if you're in an environment where that's okay, and maybe also the person who has the neurodivergence also can manage more. Well, if you're maybe in a setting where people reject you for it, or they're like, oh, we're not going to talk about that, you're just strange. Yeah. And also it can lead up to isolating more or being less well adapted to deal with things as an adult.
That makes sense.
Yeah. We really talk a lot. There's so much things we wanted to do. We had our random questions. I don't even think...
that ain't coming.
We had our game that we wanted to get into.
That would be nice. The game would be nice.
I'm done.
It could be quick.
Because we had a lot of, not heavy, but very important topics, I would say. Important and relevant topics. And maybe it's nice to a lot of these conversations need to turn into panels.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I mean, you've been doing your thing a lot.
I'm gonna be but
back at it relatively soon. My break is almost over. My little health break.
Yeah.
And then we need to.
But
we're gonna talk about some stuff.
I get all. I'm at the end. I'm very appreciative, but I'm always appreciative. But I really do feel like the conversation in itself, even though it went in so many different avenues, I feel like these conversations are so necessary for the Caribbean.
Definitely.
Especially with regards to the brain drain, with regards to understanding people being different, and also with regards to being on the fence of whether you're going home or not. I think a lot of us really just don't know. Like I don't want to carry the conversation on longer, but I was going through this, I forgot whose law it was or their diagram. But you have who? No. Somebody else.
Dunning-Kruger again.
I will remember it, maybe not. So when I say it, you probably get it. It looks like this, right? Like the swoosh of a Nike, and you have different levels of competence until you reach mastery. So you have unconscious incompetence. That's when you don't know what you don't know. And I
just learned these things in Dutch, but I understand.
Yeah,
so
I think a lot of us go through life with a lot of don't knows, and that's why you saying that you got lucky. There's ways in which you could increase your surface area for luck, and it's really just putting yourself out there. Literally talking to random ass people, you won't realize how much networks you've just created from just doing that. Exactly. And then you have the conscious incompetence. A lot of people give up here. It's when you know that you don't really know about something. And this is the part where you think, now I'm going to become knowledgeable, but that is the growing pains part in a sense. And then you have conscious competence. So that's where you've now developed the knowledge, and then you have mastery. It's something that no longer you have to think about. It's just automated. And I think I lost my train of thought, which is why did I even say this in the first place? Oh no, from a place of I think a lot of conversations we don't have in the Caribbean, and I think a lot of us being here, like you say, there's some places where it does benefit because we start to uncover the don't knows, and we're able to talk about it from a place of the people at home could ask certain questions that they never thought they needed to ask.
And shortly adding on to that, also, if I may, we come in contact with different cultures with similar histories of 100%. Colonization, and we can compare our experiences. And we're like, oh, wait, Suriname did that to the Dutch as well, and to Indonesia. Wait, they did that to us. Oh, the Dutch maybe are,
Take notes. Yeah. And I do think, I always appreciate conversations that go this deep because I know the impact they would have. And I'm just saying this from a place of thank you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you as well. Yeah, it's very nice of you.
Now the game.
Now the game, yes. Okay. Again, thank you as well. It's just an honor being here. This is a lot of fun as well. Also, just the time passing by. I suddenly it's oh wait, we're done. Oh, I need to go already. No.
Yeah, no, it was a beautiful conversation. I love these kind of conversations. But I also like when the guests just talking and I'm learning. So that's why I really love these kind of episodes.
We appreciate
I kind of hint what a game was, but she can explain it.
You hinted?
I had hint what a game was as to what.
Oh yeah, lightly.
Oh, so. Yeah. Essentially, it's very out of the box. Okay. So we want to learn Papiamentu, right? But there's two ways we're going to go about it. The first way, we're going to play real or fake.
Okay.
Where you're going to say a word in Papiamentu or not Papiamentu. And we have to determine if it's so instead of saying you have douchey and then you say dashy.
Yeah. Okay.
Dashy
I have a couple
maybe
ideas.
Maybe it's a word.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then we would have to
Guess.
say if it's real or fake.
Yeah.
So you could start with Haiti, then go to me and
Okay.
and then maybe guess.
Not just name a word and you both want to guess. Maybe that's easier.
Okay, let's guess.
Guess what?
So if it's a real word or not, and then we'll just see what you guys conclude out of it.
Oh, we should get the thing boards. You did?
I thought it was for the next episode.
Oh.
It's okay. Yeah, come.
Yeah?
I mean, you could just say it. We'll just
Okay,
give our
so I will start with Lamang.
Lamang.
Yeah.
That sounds like the morning or something. I say real. No.
I say fake.
It is a real word.
Okay.
Word.
Okay.
You're maybe getting into closing. It's the ocean. It's the
Okay.
sea. Yes.
Because I would think Manyang is
Yeah. Mayang is tomorrow. Correct. Yes. Yeah.
Lamang.
Lamang. Yeah.
I would think mango too.
Next one. Fruminga.
Fake. What do you think?
The thing is, my knowledge of the words is just very bad. So it's just like I can
If it helps, I don't even know.
what you say? Fruminga.
Yeah.
That's fake.
It's a real word.
Okay, but
it's
come with some fake
It's the
one.
word for. It's no. I purposely picked it one because I know it's like a weird one.
Fruminga means
It's a word for
dirty?
ant.
You
Ant.
lie.
Yeah. Fruminga.
Fruminga.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
went from 3 to what? 10 letters?
Fruminga.
Yeah.
Fruminga.
I mean, depending on what language you're talking about.
Fruminga.
Because
Where does that come from?
where does that come from?
I do not know
it does
what
not
the
come
Oh,
from
what
roots.
is this
English.
Spanish?
I don't think so. Papiamentu is interesting, right? Because we have and English and Dutch and French and Spanish
Yeah.
and
you got
African
everything.
and indigenous influences. So
Greedy.
some words, some words you'll be like, oh, that's very Dutch, that's very English, and
Yeah.
some words you're like, could be indigenous, could be
Yeah.
African. We don't know.
In Spanish is hormiga.
Exactly.
See?
Okay,
I
it gets
feel like-
close. It gets
yeah.
close. Okay.
I feel like y'all have a heavy Latin
And
influence though.
Definitely we do.
Portuguese.
And Portuguese. Yeah, Portuguese might be closer actually.
Fruminga.
Anyway, think of your next.
It's from Portuguese.
Exactly.
The word formiga.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Fruminga.
Okay, what's your next word?
Well,
all I
it's harder
see.
to think. Okay, wait.
Yeah, 'cause now we know it's gonna be fake.
No. I clearly think everything's fake.
Yeah.
But you think of a word that is real and then switch it up a little bit.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of one. That also isn't like just, I could think of a word like director, right?
Sir.
That one is very, because it's close to English and stuff, right? So that's why I'm
And
trying to think
Dutch.
of one of the words that aren't really,
If you think animals and insects, you lose her.
yeah. Oh, cueva.
But I think it's fake because you was thinking of what to be fake. But then I would think it's real because you might double bluff.
Cueva.
The way I
That's a good question.
Do any of y'all speak Spanish?
No.
You know
I
this
going
one,
to-
cueva? Is it, no?
I going to
good.
say
I thought
it's
maybe
real.
Spanish. Okay.
Yeah, the fact that you asked him
Yeah.
if he know Cueva, I still think it's fake.
Cave.
Okay.
Sir?
Cave. Yeah, I was trying to start thinking like a lot of our natural, the words for natural things,
Or Spanish.
are either are more
Influenced.
unique, and then you have all the whole very English and Dutch words.
Yeah. What do you call beach? Because Spanish is playa.
Yeah. Playa.
Really?
We don't really have a, like, the thing is, playa is the correct word, but on Bonaire it's a bit confusing.
Yeah.
Because if on Bonaire I will say I'm going to playa, I
Sir.
would never mean the beach with that. I would mean I'm going to the capital.
Oh.
I'm going to town. I'm going to city.
Interesting.
That means I'm going
How
playa.
you say you're going to the beach?
We're going to that specific beach.
Beach.
Yeah. Or we're going to swim there. Yeah.
Mola Bay.
Yeah.
Or La Man.
Yeah, or Lamang. Yeah.
La
We're going
Mang.
we're going to the sea. We're going no so by Lamang.
With the
We're
by
going to- Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it is correct, playa. I'm not even super sure about it,
Yeah,
but
probably different.
I never, like, I know in Spanish you'll use it as beach, but for us in Bonaire's context, we use it to refer to the capital.
Okay.
So yeah, we also never called Kralendijk. That's like a Dutch thing.
But you got 3 more words.
Tintalaira.
Fake. Sound
You
like
said
a
that
spider.
so fast, that's real.
Why you saying like all the words you say they come out so natural?
Yeah.
Like,
Sir.
Yeah.
It sound like a spider.
It is. I'm picking difficult words.
Let's see.
This is It's a snack.
So you gonna come with any fake ones? Like it's actually real?
No, that's the bluff.
That's the bluff.
See? But if before everyone, if before every question you're gonna ask me if I'm coming with a fake one, it makes it more
Yeah,
difficult.
it's true. I'm sorry. I shut up now.
But Tintalaira is a snack made of, I might say the wrong one. We have a couple of like the snacks that you can also, for example, if you're in Curacao, in Punda, you can find the little trucks selling them.
Yeah.
And one is just like sugar and coconut. One is like sugar and peanuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Tintalaira is one of them, but I'm afraid to say which one right now because I might be wrong. But it is one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we know it's real.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, you
He
said
just
real.
roll off his tongue.
makoki.
That sounds like monkey,
That's
but like
fake.
not monkey.
That's fake.
Real.
Correct. You're both kind of correct. So it is fake, but it sounds like the word for monkey, which is makaku.
Macaque.
Sad.
Yeah.
You see, I know something, but I don't know something. Okay.
Okay, last but
Last
not
word.
least. Hold it.
Hold it.
Sindebibu.
That's fake.
Sende Bibu. Something with live. I think it's real.
Something that's fake, something without life.
It's the word for aloe.
You lied.
Hello?
Aloe. Yeah, aloe. Yeah, aloe.
Oh.
Yeah. Sindebibu. It's
It
weird
literally
because it's
sounds
like
like Sinde
because
Bibu.
if I translate the two words literally, it's sinde, which is on, turning on, and bibu, which is indeed alive.
Yeah.
It's just, so it's like turning on alive, making you alive
I
or
hear
something. It makes sense.
For
You know?
aloe, I hear
It makes sense, right?
In Patois, Jamaica Patois, they call it Single Bible.
You lied. Single Bible.
There might be some linguistic connection there. Maybe. Maybe.
definitely think.
Sendebibu.
Sende Bibu.
Yeah, Papiamentu is phonetically, so it's literally whatever you hear, just type it like that. Like
I love Papiamentu.
Sendebibu. Okay.
I think I'm going to learn Papiamentu by the end of the year.
Ooh.
I shit you not.
There's
Like,
an app for that. I don't know. That's pretty good. I don't know which one.
I'm gonna look
I saw
into
somebody
it.
use it. I don't know what it's called.
But
Shout
you know,
out to the
it's-
person who made that app, but there's an app for it.
I just feel like the language is just, I enjoy life. Like the language for me is a represent. Mitabai Ming back.
Where did you learn that one?
It's so,
It's funny that you use that sentence as well because you said it very correctly. Mitabai being back,
Yeah.
which is I'm going and I'm coming back. So
Yeah.
I'm going, come back.
Mitabai Ming back.
So this is the one sentence
Sorry.
I use to tell people the difference between the accent of Bonaire and the accent of Curacao. Because on
Okay.
Curacao, if I do it correctly, sorry for all Curacao people if I butcher your accent, it will be more straightforward. Mitabai being back. Mitabai being back.
Yeah, y'all sing it a little bit.
On Bonaire, I say, Mitabai being back.
Oh, y'all shortcut it. J1 does, yeah, he does that. Shout out to
Interesting.
J1.
Yeah. So that's kind of the kind of different of accent.
But you know why I get it. It's because you have
What?
Look, you have a lot of B's.
Land the plane.
Oh,
Journey.
yes.
Land the plane.
Like the
Yeah.
Mitabai being back.
Yeah. Oh, so then you're trying to, you're trying to reduce it to make it
Yeah.
flow better. Yeah,
What was
yeah.
the other
But you
one?
do that in general, or
Bonaire,
when
yes,
the,
with
when
everything.
the consonants is just too much in this sentence.
No, so
Sorry.
we do it more with anything. So in Bonaire, in Papiamentu, you can actually contract your words. There's like actual rules for contracting your words.
Yeah.
Curacao doesn't use it as much. We use it all the time. Like,
Yeah.
like you can hear that we speak contracted if you like if you hear it.
Like you swallowing words.
Yeah, swallowing words,
The
and then
French people of ABC.
pretty much, and then within Bonaire, my town Rincon is even worse in this.
Yeah.
Like, and I shout out to all the elders from Rincon. There are some elders when they speak Papiamentu in their way, I don't understand them.
That's with
I don't understand
Sranang. With Sranang, they have so many shortcuts. In my head, I think I could probably understand it, but they've shortcut it so much that no, there's no hope.
Yeah. You see, my problem is I feel like I speak Papiamentu, but I don't.
Yeah.
Like I really just walk into the turkey pan and just be like, they don't speak to me. I never correct them.
Just give it to me.
Literally gonna just speak and be like,
Sad. You know that one. It's the most important.
I did that. Hold on, they did for 2 years and it's just he still doesn't speak Papiamentu to me. It's so bad. And I just be like, you don't catch on because sometimes I just call on the phone and it'd be like, I just want to ask. How you just say today?
Wait.
Wait.
Yeah.
Because I just want to ask, like, do y'all have moro today?
Boso ting moro awe.
Boso ting moro awe.
It's
It
just
just
a practical
sound like a
sentence.
Boso ting
Yeah.
moro awe. Let me write that down.
Yeah.
And then you can change that moro with whatever word you want.
Boso ting
But
batat.
It's really just moro.
Batata
They
awe.
always
Boso
have
ting
batata.
awa
Why
awe.
would you be trucky pan with a batata? Boso
That's
ting
facts.
moro awe. Anyway, and I just order in Dutch, and then I just pull up that he's still speaking Papiamentu.
To be honest, when I go there and I talk in Dutch, I sometimes feel like they see that as a makamba or something.
Where is this? Where's this place?
I told you about this, the kitchen, Fripo.
Oh, look, this is back there, right?
Right, Mar.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shout out to you.
So if you want to learn Papiamentu, we gotta go to them.
Yeah,
As
for sure.
in,
I
they
feel
just
like
force
all-
it.
Yeah.
I
You
don't
also the Chinese spots as
Yeah.
well here in The Hague. They're better than the other
Guys,
cities in my
guys,
opinion.
guys.
In Rotterdam too.
No,
I'm not
but
even gonna lie.
guys, they have a new one open on my road. These people fresh off the boat. That sounds so
which
bad.
city? Which city? Is it?
No, but that's a popular phrase.
But
now.
no,
All right,
but
I'll ask you later to not like
they're
put your info
Chinese.
online, but
they couldn't speak English, they couldn't speak Dutch.
only Papiamentu?
They were like, boting, I was like,
I gotta go there. This is where I have to go. You're right. The quality is gonna be good. I want to be
well,
there.
Yeah.
she was trying to talk because I wanted to get what's the people do the croquette chicken?
Croquette.
No. When they put chicken cutlet.
Oh, got that. Yeah.
And she was trying to tell me the flour ain't come in. And I was like, the flour? And she went in the book to point to the flour. Like, she really didn't know English. She didn't know Dutch. I was like, wow. Like, they really just come from Curacao.
Wow.
It probably reached by now.
Yeah. Still on the
It
way.
probably reached by now. But I was so amazed by the fact that, like, because then I asked the
Try their
guy.
food.
I asked the guy, and he was like, he was telling me in Papiamentu that he grew up on Curacao and and then he come here. And I'm like, that made me questions. I have so many questions. Because I mean, you didn't
And you
learn
can't
Dutch
even
or
ask
English.
them.
Yes, because I mean, I
Don't learn
was like,
Papiamentu to ask them.
I was like, but I mean, you didn't learn any other language.
No, but that's
Chinese.
that makes sense though, because for
Yeah.
example, if I look at some of the Chinese shops in my town Rincon, they don't have a need to speak Dutch or English.
Yeah.
They just need
That's
to be able to speak Papiamentu
Yup.
with the local
That's
community.
true.
So it makes sense if they're not that good in those languages.
But you have it in Rotterdam too. They got Chinese Tokonobu. They just speaking bare Papiamentu, and it's just Chinese people. And I'm like, my brain not computing because that's the first time I ever experienced that. That was
But then, you think they was raised here? Or they...
No.
No.
But then
Most
they
of the
didn't go
ones,
school
most
there,
of the
that's my point.
yeah, most of the people of Chinese descent that do speak Papiamentu, then they probably grew up on the islands.
Yeah.
I have some friends. One of my close friends that I also play D&D with is same background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he speaks Papiamentu with like a ghetto accent too. Like
Yeah.
sometimes when I hear him, I'm like, oh yeah,
where
of course.
did that come from?
Yeah. But I mean,
Makes
like,
sense.
they didn't have to go school on the island is my question. To learn
Yes.
one of the languages.
Oh,
That's my question.
Probably not.
Right.
Maybe their parents had a shop, and then they
you're
was like,
right.
"You gonna just help me in my shop." And then you could build your own shop, and then they come build a shop
yeah, but
over here.
that's kind of illegal. You're right. What you're saying is right. No,
you know how much they drive
now
to
that I thought about it, their parents do not speak Dutch
Yeah.
or English, but the kids that are kind of my generation that
Yeah.
did go to school with us do
They
speak.
speak.
They speak like 6 languages or something.
Exactly.
It's not even fair. But like they,
So then,
yeah.
did you go
But
to
these Chinese
school?
people was old, or they young.
No, they was given 40, 50.
Why?
Yeah, then it's okay. Then maybe they just live on. Then they
Yeah.
weren't raised there. They just went there for maybe 10 years or something. You know?
And they forget a whole previous language.
yeah, go
No,
with-
they probably know their own
Yeah, they
language.
speak Chinese. They
Yeah,
probably
they just
that.
know you won't get
Anyways,
that.
guys, Kjelld, so much. Thank you so much. I said,
Yeah.
Kjelld, so much.
Thank
you.
Donkey.
Yeah, oh, thank you.
De nada.
So what's for the lesson?
Estava um placer.
Tava tu placer.
Okay, and what's for the
Tambe.
lesson?
The what?
What is thank
was
you
a
for the
pleasure.
lesson?
Oh, dankie pa elas.
Donkey
paellas.
paellas. Sorry,
Thank you for the lesson.
paellas.
Okay, now.
How do you say like,
Thank
comment,
you.
and subscribe?
You see what
We
went
just
into
use the same
accent
thing
there?
as English. I don't think we figured that one out yet. All the Papiamentu videos are like, hey, guarda, like, follow, and subscribe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine. That was enough. That was enough.
No, thank you so much.
Thank you.
man.
Oh,
you
and
as
we
well.
pop your cherry of being on a podcast.
Yes.
How was
Oh my
it?
God. It was amazing. It was so much fun. Like I feel like a adult now. A podcast adult.
Brand new man.
No, but it was
thank
really
you.
lovely, and I just had a really good time. A lot of good laughs. Also
See.
heard from your experiences and your perspectives. You know, how it was like though we're all from the Caribbean, how it was like growing up in your own individual cases as well. So it was very
And having
informative
three
for me. Well,
different countries.
also, I always like it when we have the different islands represented. So
That
it was
true.
nice.
But
And
yeah.
thank you for always making sure that our islands are represented.
Try my best.
100%. Keep
Try my
doing
best.
it. And we'll always, we'll pull up where we need to pull up. Just call us. And thank y'all for tuning in. Nostabai being back on
Hey.
Tuesdays. So make sure you tune in. And goodbye.